Welcome to the 2022 State of the City Address. Before I get any further, I want to recognize my wife, thank her for 38 grateful years, and here in April we'll be married 39 years. And to everyone from elected officials who's been recognized, our industry partners, our community at large, and the business community, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. We always kind of start out with this because this is what drives everything we do in Deer Park, our vision statement and our mission statement. Our vision is how we want to project the future. The mission is how we're going to accomplish that. It's a simple equation. We've all heard about these, but it is truly the guiding force of how we look toward the future. Today is all about building blocks of tomorrow. Strategic planning is something we take very serious, and I want to thank the council. Today I want to recognize them and dedicate this to our city council because they're a big part of buying into the aspect of strategic planning. And it gives us a genuine roadmap on how we're going to accomplish the vision that we have set out as a governing body. We've updated it several times. I know from 2014 to 2019, we accomplished well over 95% of that in a 5-year period. From my perspective, I would have anticipated that would have taken us better part of 10 to 20 years. And through the effectiveness of the collaboration from city staff to council, it was amazing to me how efficient we were at getting through that aspect. But it was kind of easy when you laid out a roadmap of how you're going to get there. So what's coming? We're going to talk about a few little things here today. Some aspect of what's coming up into the future, some Type B development, general obligation bonds, and the quality of life enhancement. So building for the future. When staff kind of presented to me this, the first picture I saw was this right here, and I really bought into this. If any of you are like me, you know, who didn't like playing with Lego building blocks, right? But it kind of makes a point, and I always think as a communicator, you know, most people never remember what you say. So it's always an objective of mine of how do you leave somebody with a sense of what were you trying to communicate? So if you can't think about anything else that I say today, just remember, this is all about the building blocks of what we're doing for Deer Park and our surrounding communities for the future. General obligation bonds. So there's a lot of information there in regards to different aspects of how we're going to do that. It's one thing to put together a plan. It's another thing to figure out how you're going to pay for all that. And I would say in conjunction with, I know the last two mayors of Deer Park are here, and man, you know how challenging it is to walk in the shoes of Jimmy Burke and Wayne Riddle? Y'all didn't laugh very much. I mean, it's supposed to be a joke, right? But I would like to thank them because they helped lay the foundation of where we are today and has given us a tremendous opportunity to invest in the future by their leadership. In any aspect of when you're talking about general obligation bonds and how you're going to finance this stuff, you got to have your finances together. And I know we got some bankers here in the room, and I'm really grateful that we are in good position to be able to look forward to how do we sustain community goals and reach our targets. Steps in the general obligation bonds and capital improvement projects. So there's a lot of processes to all this. And you know, you just don't wake up one day and say, we're going to go do this. There's a lot of steps to it. When you start with your financial aspect, having your house in order and being able to do all this is one thing, but then it takes, once you get your finances in order, it takes its steps. So you got aspects of identifying projects, voter approval, funding, architectural engineering procurement, architectural designs, construction procurement, construction, and then finally, you reach that point where you get to deliver on this is what we're doing. Type B is another aspect of how we fund that. General obligation bonds are just aspects of the city selling debt to be able to fund that on the Type B. It's a sales tax initiative. And we're fortunate that the voters approved it and reauthorized it last year in 2021. in regards to be able to invest in the future, and you'll see the projects that we're going to be able to do here in the future. So here's a list of a lot of things that were on our strategic plan moving into the future, whether it be drainage projects, replacing Fire Station 1 and Fire Station 2, sidewalks and streets, which is a never-ending scenario that you have to keep up with, the Jimmy Burke Activity Center and Visitor Center, which we'll cover in all this in a little bit, and the Community and Recreation Center. So let's start with some drainage projects. Harvey, does anybody remember Harvey, right? It's one of them moments where you're just like, wow, what just happened? We had to go back to Allison close to 30 years before where we had anything that even come close to comparing to the amount of downfall that we had that particular 3 or 4 days. But it put us in a notion, and I know we got someone here from Cobb Finley, and I want to recognize them and thank them for their partnership of working with us on helping to identify these projects and be able to put a cohesive plan together on how we are going to address and mitigate drainage. The Boggy Bayou watershed. So the Boggy Bayou is a ditch that drains to the north, and it splits Deer Park and Pasadena. And I know I've been working with Mayor Wagner on that, and I'm going to put a plug in with the commissioner. We're going to need some support on this from the county level on how do we move water more effectively to the ship channel. It's become a bottleneck in some areas, and as you'll see in this next map, one of the biggest areas that we have, which that big blue spot up here on this top end, is directly connecting to the Boggy Bayou basin and how the water gets out, and it's restricted when it goes outside of the city. So we've got an engineering firm looking at that, and we're figuring out the feasibility of how we're going to approach some of this. There's a commissioner. Thank you again for working with us on local projects. We've got tremendous partners in the region on helping us on drainage and streets projects. Interlocal agreements. Harris County's partnered up with us, and we thank them again for that. This project, which was in our strategic planning, we just finished in the middle of last year. It's over across in Sacruson property that we were able to acquisition from the school district, and we thank them for that in regards to how do we mitigate drainage, and it helped mitigate about 200 homes that had flooded during Harvey and putting some new infrastructure in place. The breakdowns, we've got different aspects of when these projects are going to be starting. The Heritage Edition, the Deer Park, Delio Lane subdivision, College Park, Deer Park Gardens. If any of you all live in them areas, it's on the books. We're coming. We're going to address it. Street bonds. I know we've got someone here from Schoenberg and Polk, and we thank you for your partnership and working with us on these street bonds. It's funny because everywhere in life, right, when you reach a certain age, and it's just not a matter of if you have to replace a street, but just when, right? I mean, it's common sense. And the one thing I like to tell a lot of people, of course, I'm going to be homey now, right? And like, come to Deer Park and try to find a pothole. I mean, because if you do, we'll get it fixed right away. You can't say that about most areas, right? Especially when you're driving around, and boom, hit a pothole, and next year it messes up your car or knocks it out of alignment. But I'm grateful that we've had the fortitude, and council has made it a top strategic priority of keeping our streets in good shape and moving forward. But it takes some willpower where you got to put some effort into making sure you keep up with these projects. Fire Station 1. Fire Station 1, I know the chief's here, and he can correct me, but it's a little over 65 years it's been in service. Is that correct, Chief? So I think it's reached a point of we've maximized its usefulness, and so now it's time to invest in a new fire station. Let's look at what that's going to look like. All the firemen in the house ought to be happy to see that. Chief Davis had a unique way every time he'd see me. He's like, don't forget about us. I'm like, Chief, it's coming. It's coming. Now we got it on the books and we got it into design. Chief, it's coming. I'm looking forward to it. We not only got Fire Station 1, but Fire Station number 2 is going to be rebuilt, and so I'm looking forward to that investment. The next one is going to be the Jimmy Burke Activity Center. And that's the building we're in right here, right now. I'm so looking forward to the next phase of development and how we have the opportunity to invest in the future for this next generation. So let's look at a short video of what that's going to look like. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Video's got to be worth 10,000 words, right? Did that not cast a vision there? Did you catch that? Isn't that awesome? Part of that aspect of it is directly connected to Shell, and we appreciate them and their representatives. I was giving Guy a hard time a while ago, kind of messing with him about his new logo on his shirt. If you haven't seen it, please go out of your way to see his new logo. But we thank y'all for y'all's partnership with our community, and I'm looking forward to this. Shell made a significant donation to the city recently, and we're so excited about their investing in our visitor center and our museum aspect. And we've got a short video here that's going to show a little bit about that.
We are donating $800,000 to the City of Deer Park's History Museum. The donation is going to enable the City of Deer Park to build and further establish the historical museum. The community are going to feel an ability to stay connected to history. As the city has changed and evolved, so has Shell changed and evolved.
I am overjoyed to be here today to accept this donation on behalf of the City of Deer Park. The project that we'll be breaking ground on here in the next few years, we'll have a new welcome center, and portion of that welcome center will be a historical museum that will have a lot of documentation so we can promote and show where we've come from. It's something I've had to learn to do as mayor, to truly understand where we come from, understand how our community is involved, and it helps us to move forward. So preserving that is part of our mission in regards to planning for the future. I want to say thank you to Shell for that donation. So here's a small example of what we're going to be able to do as we expand it. So the one, I guess, on your left, my right, is what we were originally looking at in the design aspect. And with their donation, we're going to be able to expand the museum portion and put a lot more displays in regards to historical content and preserving aspects of where we've come from. I know that's a cliche as saying, but it's really important to me to understand where you come from, because again, remember, you're building on a foundation that's been laid by our forefathers, and now we're projecting in some cases where we're going to be for the next 50 to 100 years, and it's kind of chilling to me sometimes to think about I'm not going to be around in some cases to enjoy the length of some of this, but we're building this for the future. And I know I got my son-in-law. I told him he's not technically my favorite because I've got two son-in-laws. So I just throw them both in it, but him and my wonderful daughter, or now afforded me to be a grandfather multiple times over. My son is here, and his son now, my namesake, is 3 months old. And so it gets personal when you start talking about this, because we're planning the future for the next generation. So it's exciting to me that we're going to be able to display aspects of where we've come from. I know it still gets me when I see some aspects of it, and I've got one of the pictures that's hanging over there. But when you think about the history of Deer Park, I'm just the 9th mayor in the history of well over 100 years. So it puts an aspect of tenure and good leadership, and it's been such an honor to follow in Jimmy and Wayne's shoes in some aspect. I mean, it was like, just don't screw it up, Mouton. I mean, so, you know, it's pretty simple when you're following two men like that. So the community and recreational center is something that was, it's been in the works for a number of years, and I'm really excited about it. And that particular project, we've had some really significant scenarios where it was added on to several times over the years, and it just reached a point where it just made more sense. So let's just look at going all the way to the ground and starting over. And so here's some conceptual designs in regards to what that's going to look like. Many aspects of that particular facility is going to touch every demographic in our community, no matter what age you are, from the young age of specific programming. We've got an indoor aquatics facility that's going to be built in it for the young to learn how to swim, for the old to run. Or I shouldn't have said that as a politician. There's no one technically old, which is some are more mature than the rest, right? Yeah. So all of you that might feel like you fill in that demographic, you're just well-aged like fine wine. Did I cover up for that there, Commissioner? We're going to have a double gym capacity, which we'll be able to break it up. It's going to be a 2-story concept with a big walking track where you'll be able to walk if you need to walk, no matter what the weather conditions is. If it's 100 degrees and you need to get some exercise in, you'll be able to do it. And I'm very, very excited about the impact of how that's going to do. Hiking and biking, something we've talked about many years in our strategic planning. We're going to be starting as far to the north aspect, and we're going to be going throughout the whole city, connecting most of our communities and all of our local little parks together, where you'll literally be able to, as a family, get on a bike and ride all throughout the city on some of the drainage basins corridors. So I'm really excited about that, which they've already broke ground. The area that's in the yellow, they're already working on right now. So if you over off of St. Augustine, over by close to where I live, my wife was like, "Why did they put that big sign right in front of my house?" And it was like, construction. I'm like, they're working. It's okay. It's the mayor's front yard. Where else would they put it? Resilience and retention. It's funny, we use these words a lot of times, but it has a different perspective of meaning. And what does it mean? Well, you typically have to go through some kind of event that you typically have to plan for that you hope never happens before you start understanding what these words actually mean. Quality life is one of them other metaphors. I use it quite a bit to describe some aspects of what our focus is, right? But everything we do as local government officials should be oriented toward improving the quality of life of everybody that lives in our communities. This picture here, I was looking at it last night reviewing it, really reflects every age, no matter where you're at, some aspects of what's important to most of us. And if you look at the one on your right top, you know, that trash, if you want to make a mistake in Deer Park, I mean, just start implying that whatever people are used to on their trash service, or God forbid, they get a trash bag that's not up to their standards. Now, most of y'all know that live here, you know, the city gives you trash bags. I mean, what other city does that? Except for us, it's in our charter. Oh, Bubba's over here raising his hand. Really, Bubba? I can see that. You didn't have to raise your hand. I mean, I'll say our trash service is better than LaPorte, but I wouldn't want to go there, right? But you make a mistake and give them the wrong thickness of the ply of trash bags, and there has been nothing more politically incorrect to do than sending constituents of Deer Park the wrong size thickness of a trash bag. But thank God, you know, that's the standard of the quality of life of what we're talking about in Deer Park. But we've got, yeah, it's really that simple in Deer Park. It really is. I appreciate our fire and EMS is on there, our PD. We've got water and sewer, the pool, our drainage basins, quality of life initiatives are really an important aspect of everything that we're talking about. Planning is a big deal that we do in Deer Park because you got to be ready no matter what for the unexpected, whether it be natural or whether it be man-made. I appreciate the collaboration of staff and I would put our staff up against, and Bubba, you don't have to say anything, but I would even put it up against LaPorte in regards to, but no, I value our neighboring cities and mayors because the truth is we all work really, really well together in these situations that when things do occur, I know I can pick up the phone and call anybody in this region and get help. And I was even doing it to the commissioner on that last winter event. I'm like, dude, we need some water. Do you have some water? It's like, well, I will find some. And the next day we had water. And it was interesting because, you know, our water treatment plant was down and I was wanting to make sure staff had some water. And that's really as simple as what it's boiled down. But being able to pick up the phone and work with our local elected officials, I'm so appreciative of what our staff does. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the men and women in our police department and our fire department for the role that they do in providing the services to our city. Let's give them a nice hand. I would put them up against anybody, even LaPorte. EOC. Yeah, I'm sure I'll hear about it later. Emergency Operations Center. So this is the hub of when all these scenarios that we're talking about occurs. And as our city has grown and developed, what we've noticed is our current EOC is kind of small. And when you get a lot of people in there, and a lot of things are going on, decisions have to be made. So we're looking into and investing into a new EOC, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to give us a new call center and expand our abilities to be able to respond efficiently to any emergency response that we need to, and I'm really looking forward to that. Water treatment plant. You know, this is one of them deals that's never a problem until it's a problem, right? When your water's not working, there's a problem. There's a few things people will call me on. If they're told it's not working and the water's not working, guess who they want? Why is it not working? Well, we're making sure we mitigate any aspect of this, and this is what we're doing on our water treatment plant.
The Microchlor PSI on-site disinfection system replaces gas chlorine with a source of salt and produces a low-grade bleach through electrolysis. The other parts of the project help with resiliency through increased contact time between water and the disinfectant and higher volume pumps in the limiting part of the process. This process is the first of its kind in the Gulf Coast region, which sets the Deer Park water treatment plant ahead of the curve in technology, efficiency, and will allow for optimum safety. The total construction bid is $6,185,290 and was awarded during the Tuesday, February 1st City Council meeting.
Thank you to our staff from our surface water treatment plant. And I'm appreciative that they're always pushing the envelope of, can we do it better? And if so, here's how we're going to do it. And I thank God for all of that. So I started out by dedicating this to council. If you would please stand, council, I'd like to thank you so much for your contributions to what you do every day. It's always an honor to get up here and tell the story of Deer Park, because the truth is, it's not all about me. It's about us as a team, and I'm proud to see that we are effectively moving our city forward. And from any aspect of what is the state of the city, I'll just tell you it's in great shape, and I'm very excited about the future. In any aspect of how we're going to pay for this, we've maintained now in our 7th year AAA rating in our bond rating, which puts us in tremendous financial positions to not only invest in the future, but be prepared for whatever may occur. So it's been such an honor to present this to all of you today, and I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you to the commissioner for being here. Thank you so much for today and being here.